We begin at chapter 12, verse 7 now. Wicked men are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands firm. This is a theme we keep coming back to here in Proverbs, that when you build your house upon Jesus Christ, that house never ends. And the same goes from a temporal sense to a less absolute. When you build your family upon righteous principles, your family keeps going. So my father and mother had 6 children. We were all brought up in the church, taught that there is right and wrong. And now those 6 children have 20 children of our own. Okay, and now my mom's married into another righteous family and gained another 5 grandchildren as well as 2 children, also brought up in righteous ways. Well, it is very likely that the lineage of my father and mother, not just the name, but the lineage being the righteousness that they taught us, will carry on to the next generation. And our family will keep going. I talked to Pastor Miller over in Emma, and he's from a family of pastors going way back. The righteous has built a lasting foundation, and it keeps going. But wicked, they disappear. It's a very sad thing when a family, the sins of the fathers are carried on by the sins of the children, are carried on by the sins of the grandchildren, and in the process they just destroy the family, they destroy the memories of those who came before. And even if the lineage continues, the truth, the good, that doesn't continue. They don't have these family traditions that are passed generation to generation because they're destroying themselves through their wicked actions. Let's go to 8. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but men with warped minds are despised. Simple truth. If you are one who says things which produce good results, generally in the long term, and even within your own lifetime, people will point to you and your advice and your decisions and say, those were good, those were wise, right? You should follow them. But if you're someone who's saying things like children should be able to be killed up to the age of 2 because they're not able to support themselves, and so up to then they're leeches, yes, I am despising you. I am looking at your words and your thoughts, and I'm saying they're evil. They need to be expunged from society, and we need to expunge, we need to get rid of these ideas, right? So when your mind is warped, when you're a purveyor, say, if you're Hefner, and you're purveying sex outside of marriage, of course you're going to be despised. And when you die, the memory of you is one of a gross old person who sought what wasn't real. And again, we're going to teach our children this is not a good consequence. This is not a good life. 9. Interesting one here at 9. Better to be a nobody and yet have a servant. A nobody and have a servant. Than pretend to be a somebody and have no food. So I'm sure I could come up with an example in modern society, but I like to look, in this case, to the nobility in France or in England when the middle class was rising and the noble class was extending their debts. And they would be living in these threadbare circumstances, taking out great debts to wear really fancy clothing, even though they really couldn't afford to have servants any longer, they couldn't afford their houses, searching for rich young wives to rescue their family fortunes. Here it's saying, look, you don't need fame and prestige. Those things really aren't that important. Just go about your normal life, follow in the principles God has set so that you can achieve success, not only permanent success, but you can achieve success now by building up nice steady gains maybe in a quiet way, building up wealth. And then you can have servants. You can have people who help you out when you need help and can help you with running your household. But if you're, so enamored with prestige, so enamored with fame and fortune that you fake wealth, and now we can go to a modern sense. We see these music stars or sports athletes who spend all their wealth on their covey of, of friends to try to show just how wonderful they are, and they end up destitute. Well, that's not good, right? Because at a certain point, you run out of food. You don't have any way to, you're going into restaurants begging and playing off your fame, attempting to convince someone to have charity so that you can eat. 10. A righteous man cares for the needs of his animal, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. So the first thing, notably, PETA, hear this? Righteous men, that is, men of God, care for animals. We have been put in authority and dominion over the earth. We do sometimes use them for food or clothing, but we love our animals. We love them not as much as we love other people, but we love our animals and we care for them. And cruelty to animals is a sign of a disparate, not a wicked mind, a ruined, a wrecked mind. So one of the ways you can look to a person is if they have animals, do they tend them well? If they're tending them well, then that's a good sign that they have something in them which follows in the plans and the precepts of God. But notice the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Even when they seem to be helping someone, they're looking out for their own self-interest, and they're putting someone else down while raising themselves up. So there is a cruelty, a lack of love in everything we do that doesn't follow along from God's love, from God's design. And so it may look like someone is acting in a kind way. I think of the present riots where people are speaking kind words, but then acting in a manner which tears down. So we don't want blacks to be hurt by police officers. Certainly everyone agrees with that, and those are kind words. But then in the process, they cruelly tear down police officers, implying that most, or even all police officers misuse their authority and their honorable profession to put down a certain segment of society. And so they're cruel in what looks like a kindness to one group, they're cruel to another. Okay, we will continue with the next section in the next video.